Lori, there wasn't that much planning, I guarantee you.
You better not fall this time.
Wasn't that much planning.
I'm the one that came on.
What's that?
Crystal together to try to get Kim Davis, so I got to get back on that. We had a
You're gonna
meeting.
take your cue from that gentleman right there. Okay. At the back.
We had to cancel it. Okay. All right, where are they there? There it is.
Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order.
Showtime, folks. We are live on Hard Can.
He says that so much better than I do. You know, they kept talking when I tried to interrupt. But anyway, we have a good turnout today. Appreciate everyone. We've had some special effort to get here. Wes flew in from New York last night, got here late last night. He's saw Hamilton, and you know he's really done the cultural tour. So, but came all the way down from Fayetteville, and but anyway, it's good to see everybody. Good to have a good attendance here. With the call to order, we have the minutes of the last meeting that have been distributed. If there's a motion, they be approved as submitted.
So moved.
Annette, okay. Motion second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. None opposed. I'll briefly give a report which was widely circulated, I guess, on the newspaper. We did have our session at the state legislature, and they did approve a major step in our salary for our executive director, which was well deserved, but it was important to us as commissioners that we make a move, a step like that to put ourselves forward to be sure that we're taking care of our executive director and that we're competitive with other PBS programs around us. And I thought there were other lessons as well for us in not taking our position either with the public or with the legislature, taking too much for granted. We really need to tell our story. We talked about that in terms of fundraising, but I think every couple of years we're going to need to have that kind of invitation to have people come visit us, see the products, see what we're doing, and stay fresh, I think, with the programs that are happening here with the station and our various signals. So I think we learned something, the legislature learned something, and a good outcome was had. And so I thank everybody that helped. Marty Ryle kept us going. Woody was my good companion there as we faced some pretty tough questions, both here at the station, but also down in Little Rock. So anyway, thank you to all of you, and I do think together we all made a difference. But we want this station, the people who work here, the creativity to be recognized, to be acknowledged, and not taken for granted. And so we had one big step, but a lot of other steps that we'll all take together as we go forward. So with that, you're next. Yes, it's your turn to go forward. So,
well, we've had a lot of firsts at Arkansas PBS over the years, and that continues this year. And one that's already happened, sticks in my mind and will forever, is the live stream of of Dolly Parton from the governor's mansion. The sort of thing that we aim to do a lot more of in the future. Hopefully Dolly will come back, and there'll be other people and other events that the public really would like to be a part of, and maybe there's just not enough space in the venue, so we live stream for the community. In mid-July, Arkansas PBS debuted our first story-based podcast, The Growing Season, that follows 6 Arkansas farmers through a really challenging year. It's terrific. Everyone should go onto your favorite podcast provider and download it and listen. Rise and Shine 2, though really not a first, had a lot of first-time elements. It was the first use of green screen technology for music videos and teacher introductions. It was the first segments of Benji and Bart and Wendy the Weather Balloon animated shorts that really show the creativity of our team. Blueberry was used in teaching segments with Joel Lookadoo teaching math. She was a great teacher. And it was the first appearance of a really talented young actress as the new camper Sophie in the Blueberry Clubhouse episodes, and it was a strong debut for Jessica Somm as the new 2022 Arkansas Teacher of the Year. July also included, as John mentioned, the interim study. It was maybe not the first chance, because we did it for the Arkansas Board of Education, not the Board of Education, the Joint Committee a couple of years ago, and this time was just a real opportunity to have a large group of legislators in our building and to be able to tell them and show them firsthand what we do for Arkansas and the data that really shows our impact. And we look forward to doing more of that, as John mentioned. In another first, in the middle of the summer, PBS National included Arkansas PBS's 3-part documentary series, Southern Storytellers, in the primetime announcements for the Television Critics Association. So Arkansas PBS and our series was featured in Deadline Hollywood, everything from Forbes to Real Screen to Broadway World, and production's really ramping up on that for a June premiere in the primetime schedule for PBS. Barreling into fall, we're producing our first Department of Education-led curriculum-based narrative kids series. It's a live-action 20-episode series designed for kindergartners through second graders with storylines and characters that will engage kids in learning and teaches kids learn in a different way when they're drawn into a story with characters. And the learning targets are social studies and natural sciences. So this is a mystery series for children, and it will debut on Arkansas PBS and, really importantly, make up permanent assets in K-2 classrooms across our state. The series will film on location across the state and in multiple rural towns across Arkansas, locations that will magically transform into one fictional community for the purpose of our story. The fall will also likely bring the addition of one more sport to Arkansas PBS Sports. We are looking seriously at, and hopefully we'll be able to add high school volleyball in our state championship schedule that rounds out the balance in our sports between girls and boys sports. So more firsts will continue to come, and we're really excited moving into this fall. It's a really happening time at Arkansas PBS. So thanks for listening. Anybody got any questions? All right.
Thanks, John. And Courtney, all those firsts don't happen without a lot of planning, so our strategic planning season is already in place, and you'll find some of the some of that stuff available on page 7 in your notes. So some of the highlights of the strategic goals for this coming year is that our goals and our aspirations are going to be a little more informed by audience insights, and you're going to get the opportunity to meet our newest team member here next to me, Lindsey Ingram, who's going to talk to you a little bit about that and give you an initial flavor of some of the presentations we're going to be doing in these meetings going forward. So you'll be look for that. We're going to have a bigger footprint in the community. Believe it or not, we're going to try and have increased partnerships, and some of those partnerships will be these streamed events that Courtney was talking about. So that's baked into our plans. Courtney mentioned the K2 story-based educational series. It's part of our new, bigger, high-profile education initiatives that are in place for this year. And then technical innovation. We've been talking about the automated master control for a long time. This is the year that we put it into implementation, and we'll also have we have a new technology that we're in the midst of putting in, and that will do the green screen production. You're going to see some amazing green screen examples in some of the clips today. That will have that kind of virtual production capability in real time. So that'll be something that we're putting into place for this year. So the notable achievements, Rise and Shine was mentioned. Rise and Shine created 87 hours of educational TV this past summer, so that's nothing to sniff at. Generating close to 15 million social and media impressions. The team printed out those fabulous power packets, those educational resources that are sent in print for some of those areas that don't have internet connectivity and can't get to stuff, but they can get to it at the library, at the local school. 55,000 power packets were distributed to every county in Arkansas. All 75 of the 75 counties in Arkansas received power packets from the Rise and Shine team. We have a fabulous new documentary that we premiered since we last spoke to you. It's called Dirt. It's about the soil reclamation projects and regenerative farming here in Arkansas. It premiered to some really great reviews and in a screening in Little Rock a couple of weeks ago. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you see Dirt. Courtney mentioned volleyball. That's going to be on October 29th if all the pieces come into place. We think they will. We are preparing for the statewide debates coming up in October. A lot of preparations already going into place. We will have the what we are told is the only debate appearance by Sarah Huckabee Sanders in the gubernatorial debate, which will be on Friday the 21st. So a lot of work is going into that. And so you may have seen many of us on our phones this morning furiously reading. We have the Mid-America Emmy nominations are coming in as we do this live. 1, 2, 3. Thus far we have nominated for 9 Mid-America Emmy Awards. So a big round of applause for the team. So we'll create a whole list for you, but everything from cultural documentary, 7 Days, the opioid crisis, human interest long-form story, the NASA event where students spoke to astronauts in space, the COVID-19 public awareness campaign was nominated, a couple of sports stories, the one about Scottie Pippen's court at UCA, and the young lady who is fighting Tourette's and is trying to be an announcer. It's called Speaking Volumes. That was nominated. 2 nominations for Blueberry's Clubhouse. So great stuff for the team. So with that note, I'm going to introduce you now to. I'll let Lindsay introduce herself. Yeah, Cynthia, you have a question? Well, so we're working with a very antiquated, great question, very antiquated on-air delivery system. So unlike most stations where you see they can do all these graphical overlays, and coming up next, this show and all that stuff, we can't do any of that. And our system is designed to have human beings actually monitor it on a full-time basis and be in there and manually triggering things. This master control will run, kind of like a computer, kind of triggering things based on the program log. And in addition, there will have the capability to infuse our on-air screen with all kinds of information, like the weather, like the weather alerts that happen with us, and our signal gets taken over by the weather service, and it goes beep, 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 and it's just like you want to kill yourself. we're gonna have maps, and we're gonna be able to provide much more information on those weather alerts versus just just interrupting the signal. So it's going to be a real long-term solution for us going forward.
Does somebody monitor that remotely in case there's a glitch? I mean, I'm just.
Yes,
I know it's all
yeah.
automated.
Yes, there's in
Also
fact,
know what
part of the
happens.
process is building if you ever hear the term NOC thrown around, it's NOC, it's Network Operations Center. It's a more desk-based. Back in the engineering department, there's not going to be a special need to have a team of employees, manually operating it.
Okay.
So there's efficiencies related to it, but there's also creative opportunity in communicating to our audience.
And just to complete the circle, Mark is smiling over there because the foundation helped us with that project.
Yes.
Made it possible.
Finally got us over the line on getting that, so thank you to the foundation on that. All right, so Lindsay Ingram is our new head of audience. She joined us 2 months ago?
Yeah,
about 2 months ago. And so she's going to talk to you a little bit about, not only introduce herself, but talk to you a little bit about the kinds of things she's going to be looking at for us as she tries to make sure that we're really addressing our audiences, our multiple audiences. So Lindsay, take it away.
That's right, thank you. Well, I'm excited to be here, first commission meeting, excited to be with the Arkansas PBS organization. My background is marketing, digital marketing, analytics. I'm a bit of a data nerd, so what I'm gonna show to you today, I hope that I have made that as digestible as possible so that you can start to see, like Courtney mentioned, this is going to be something that with future commission meetings, we'll dig even deeper every single time into who this audience is, because there's a lot of data out there, there's a lot of data sources. The glare is on my side. I hope you're able to see this pretty well.
By the way, there's printed versions.
Yeah, you have a printed version in front of you in case you can't see the monitor very well.
Much easier to see the paper. Might be easier to see the paper.
So wanted to look first, whenever I started to dig into these analytics, at what is our total Arkansas population, just so we have a good picture of total base that we could even be reaching out to. So 2020 census, we're just over 3 million people in Arkansas. The gender split on that is about 51% female, 49% male, which you'll see that mirrored in our audience for PBS as well. The single largest age group for us, or in the state, is 25 to 34, so that represents a big opportunity for us as we, I say as we begin to age down and get an audience that's going to be sustainable. Right now we're hovering about a 35 to 44-year-old audience, so 25 to 34, especially with that being the single largest age group in the state, that's an important target for us moving forward. So this table has a lot of information on it. Again, you might want to reference your printed version so that you can see this a little easier. The columns across the top are different data sources. So you can see we have 7 different data sources that we're analyzing. The first column on the left is our website. All of this data is going to be as of the last 30 days or as of the full month. So this is August compared to July of 2022. With our website, we had almost a 24% increase over July, which is great. That gave us about 20,000, a little under 21,000 visitors or users for the month of August. As I mentioned, 35 to 44 seems to be our sweet spot right now, except across YouTube, which you'll see in that third column. That audience just very slightly skews more towards a 45 to 54-year-old audience, which was kind of our... Cindy, I'm seeing your face. It was kind of a surprise to me as well. So that's a little bit older of an audience for us on YouTube. Our gender across, just like with the state of Arkansas, we tend to skew female across everything, except again for YouTube, and it's a very slight increase in our male viewers on YouTube. Leading active day and time for our website, which is also the same in that last column, which I'll get to in just a minute. Sunday, 7 p.m., which was not much of a surprise. That's a prime time YouTube, I mean, our website is a place that people could come and watch, you know, the new Masterpiece release. They program those at most of the time at Sunday, 7 p.m. So that wasn't necessarily a surprise for us that would be our leading active day and time. Second column is our email. So email is the only number that we saw in the month of August dip slightly. It's not a concern at this point, but we do hope that trends in a more positive direction moving forward. But we're still hovering about 85,000 email subscribers, which is a good base for us. That's almost 4 times more than the website traffic is seeing. So we want to nurture that audience. Again, that's an audience that's already in the funnel. They've told us that they want our content in their inbox, and hopefully that audience will lead to more sustainers, more supporters. So we want to nurture that audience and see that start to move in a positive direction. Our highest open rate is on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. All of this data we look at because we want to tailor our marketing. So when are people most active? When do they open our emails the most? Let's make sure that we're hitting Tuesday at 5 p.m. So that's the reason we pull that. That third column is YouTube. So this has been on a steady increase for the last 13 months, which is great for us. We have a pretty high goal set for the next year that we'd like to see our subscriber base increase 50%. So seeing the 2% is good. We're going to keep hitting YouTube and try to drive people. I think Ed and Courtney both mentioned live stream opportunities. So we're going to have a lot of live streams coming up in the future. We're going to be driving them to YouTube as a channel that we're looking to grow. As I mentioned, 45 to 54 male is our most populous age group and gender for YouTube, but just very, very slightly. If I had the specific numbers here, you would see it's not that it's head and shoulders above the 35 to 44. Social media, everything has been growing with social for many years. Cynthia, I think you were the one that mentioned even in the last year that social media that the content has really become better and it's becoming more enriching. So we're really doubling down on that as well. That's where people are spending a lot of their time. Facebook, it has our largest audience right now with just under 31,000. But overall, people are leaving the Facebook platform. It got a little bit too politicized during all of the elections and everything, and people are migrating away from that to other channels. For us, because we hover right now in the 35 to 44 and hope to go to the 25 to 34 age group, Instagram is going to be a big focus for us with video, with photos. It's a visual platform that just is more suited to our content. So we're really going to nurture that. We've had conversations about TikTok. We don't feel like in fiscal year 23 that we're ready to make the leap to TikTok. TikTok tends to be a 10 to 19-year-old audience. So we'd be jumping over an age group to really focus on TikTok right now. But it's in our future. It's in our sights. And then the last social media is Twitter. So as Ed mentioned, with us having the exclusive on the gubernatorial debate this year, we've seen a lot of traffic, a lot of increase in Twitter. That's where a lot of our public affairs conversations happen, because that's where a lot of the candidates and public affairs audience spends their time. And then the last column, so this is PBS National. The PBS National data pulls 3 different data sources of their own, and they combine it together. So we don't have the specific breakout. So this is if someone goes to National PBS website, just pbs.org. It's if they go to PBS National mobile app, or if they use, for instance, a Roku device or something to watch PBS, to stream PBS. Yep. So all of that's combined in that number. The other nuance of this is the 52,000 is not specifically people. So the way that they track that is by devices. So for instance, if I, as an individual in my home, if I pulled up the mobile app to check the schedule, but then I've turned on Roku to stream something, I'm counted as 2 devices. So it's a little bit of a misleading number because we don't know the specifics of how many people does that break down to. I've checked with National PBS sources that is something that they don't see in the future, that they're going to be able to dig into much more than what they're able to provide us today. But we're hoping that just as we continue to look at these numbers, that's something that we can hone in. And, for instance, with a 10.79% increase over July, again, we're trending the right direction to have more devices contacting National PBS, whether it is that they're streaming or they're checking the website or they're using the mobile app.
Are these generated
Yes, that's just Arkansas. That's just Arkansas. And then the last slide is a lot of thumbnails, but it's a visual way to represent. This is top 10 programs. So again, we have 4 different ways that our viewers can watch content or consume content. With YouTube and the local streams at the top, those are our locally produced programs. And so in the month of August, from the 1st position to the 10th position, you know, we consistently see 7 Days, The Hauntings of Arkansas, Dreamland. We consistently see those as very popular programs, which is, again, good for us to look at because then that helps inform our strategy of what do we need to be promoting, what do we need to be producing more of. The next 3 rows are all that PBS national data, but they're just divided up in different ways. So that second row is just local content that's streamed across PBS national, exploring Arkansas head and shoulders above every other program for us. I mean, it's consistently like 35% of the local streams is exploring Arkansas. So people are very interested in the state of Arkansas and seeing the state of Arkansas, which they should be. It's beautiful. Good Roots was premiered, and so we've had great success with Good Roots. We just ended as Courtney mentioned, season 2 of Rise and Shine with Blueberry's Clubhouse. So great to see those in the 3rd and 4th positions. And then the last 2 rows are all of the national content. So this is just what does our audience look at? You know, not looking at it for local programming, just all programming. So Grant Chester was a huge success this fall. So Grant Chester is in the 1st position for the general audience, as well as those who have a Passport subscription. So we want to be watching that Passport subscription as well, because those people have already, they're already becoming supporters, and so we want to pay attention to what they're looking at. So a lot of those programs end up being the same, just shuffling kind of in the priority of what they watch. So. All right, and now I'm going to hand the baton over to Levi. Well,
any questions?
Yeah,
great job. Thank you. Any questions on all this stuff? This is like, you know, we don't get to see the numbers on this all the time, but we will now. We're laser focused on it, as they say.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
any questions?
Well, something that's very heartening to me is I'm looking at the audience participation, and our audience of Black and African Americans seems to outstrip our general population by about 10%. I think our general population in Arkansas is about 15% Black and African American, and our viewership is about 25% of our viewers are Black and African American. So that's really interesting to me that, and I'm glad to know that we're a resource for that underrepresented
Yeah,
community.
absolutely. It's like, you know, I think sometimes people
diversity,
make
yeah.
assumptions about PBS and
Yeah.
which the numbers, you know, kind of dispute that.
Yeah.
By the way, you skipped over, Lindsay, any personal stuff. Where'd we find you? Where have you been?
There's no need
Who are
to
you?
talk about me.
Let our commissioners know a little bit more about you.
So I'm a Conway native. Lived here all my life. Did 6 years with Simmons Bank, so I know that's a very strange thing. When I came here, everybody kind of raised an eyebrow like, wait, you're coming to television from banking? But I had spent 11 years prior to that in commercial advertising with Stoneward Advertising. And so my background was in commercials, TV commercials, broadcast productions. I just switched gears a little bit, moved over to banking for about 6 years, and then this opportunity came up, and it was too good to pass on. And like I said, I'm a Conway native, and so I've driven by Arkansas ATN and now Arkansas PBS all of my life. So I'm glad to be here and glad to be supporting.
We're lucky to have her,
a
and
local.
she's got the most colorful office. So she loves color, and
Do
she was
love color.
she was a cake boss. She's like an artist of cakes. So we just did the going away for Fred, and she did this whole football cake for us and everything. So
Yes.
so.
It's a hobby that's not profitable, but
But it's really we profit. We deliciously profit.
yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to get now into the media showcase part, the watching fun videos section. And we're going to start with with Levi, our head of production. Take it away, Levi.
Thank you, Ed, and I hope someday when I retire Lindsay's still here to make me a cake, so just fingers crossed. So we're going to kick off with the documentary that Ed talked about earlier called Dirt. This is a very special case because uniquely we worked with a federal grant from the National Resource Conservation District, and they were working with Pulaski County Conservation District. And so the local Pulaski County group reached out to us after they saw a previous documentary we did called Urban Forge. And so once they watched our documentary on blacksmithing in the Ozarks, they said, we need them to do this. And so kind of great work begets more great work. And we were granted about a 3-year grant period with a number of sums to talk about land conservation, basically, for farmers. And because of the amount of work we're doing with Good Roots and Growing Hope and the podcast, you know, farming has really kind of taken over with one of our pillars of content that we're doing. As an agricultural state, this has become very important to our values to talk about that. So Dirt was kind of a perfect opportunity to do this. And so, as Ed said, we stuck with 6 farmers for about 6 months to a year and kind of followed these practices that they do that originally, when we heard the pitch about the documentary, the science-based part of it, the ecological environmentalism, it kind of made me nervous of like, well, we haven't really done that kind of thing before. You know, we really try to make it very people-focused and kind of character-focused, and so this was a big challenge for us, and I just wanted to read for you guys before we show the clip a little bit from the film review that we got in the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, and the title is called Arkansas PBS's Dirt Educates, Entertains. And I think if you listen to this quote from the writer, you'll kind of understand what our goal was and if we succeeded that or not. The documentary executes a wonderful explanation, making these science facts digestible. They are accompanied by informative and engrossing animated graphics that fill the quirky and fun nature of the film. So if any point during the documentary you feel left behind by the scientific jargon, these graphics quickly catch you up. Another strong aspect of the documentary is the cinematography, as it is quite beautiful, with great use of drone footage hovering and spanning over the fields from on high. It's these shots that show off the greenery of Arkansas that I truly admire. There are also fascinating shots where it appears as if we are inside the dirt, an earthworm's point of view as the soil and other mud-bound critters move around the camera. And it's these little creative touches that make Dirt a refreshing approach to the public access documentary genre. So we were very, very happy to receive that kind of feedback on that, and we'll show you a little clip.
Roughly 1/4 of the land in the United States is suitable for cropland. We have ruined about 1/10 of our original heritage and damaged more than 1/2 of what remains. We are losing each year by bad management and the resulting erosion the equivalent of nearly 500,000 acres.
So the soil sponge is leaving us, so we're just flushing the vital component of life away from ourselves.
If we have poor water quality, then we're not going to have high yields of crops, and we're not going to have healthy animals. We're not going to have healthy food, and that directly then feeds through to people.
Humans are managing nature for their own benefit, whether it's for grazing animals or for building on, and it's having a dramatic impact all over the world.
Beef and lamb farming put huge pressure on the land.
Destroying crops, turning hard-earned farm profits into devastating losses, covering towns, ruining homes and businesses.
Modern farming practices like indiscriminate tilling, heavy fertilizer use, and pesticides used on more than 90% of America's main crops are damaging soil, contaminating water, and ultimately draining our global resources.
To mankind, topsoil means food and life. It exists only upon a small favored fraction of the Earth's surface, and it averages a depth of only 6 inches. Your life depends upon these 6 vital inches.
In this vast universe, an ecosystem exists which holds a key to human existence. This key can open the door to wealth or ruin, to feast or famine, and it lies just beneath our feet.
You know, you have to realize that The soil is a living thing.
It's more than dirt. It's a living, breathing ecosystem. And when you start looking at it like that, it's easy to make these changes.
Manifest destiny, a phrase coined in 1845, was the idea that the United States was destined to expand across North America and spread democracy and capitalism. So people continued their expansion and moved to the Great Plains region with the belief that rain would come when the seeds were planted. Rising wheat prices and increased demand in the early 20th century encouraged farmers to plow up millions of acres of native grassland to plant wheat, corn, and other row crops. When wheat prices dropped during the Great Depression, their solution was to increase their yield, digging up even more land. Then came the drought in 1931. Without deep-rooted grasses to hold the soil in place, it began to blow away, leading to massive dust storms in the southern plains. On April 27, 1935, Congress established the Soil Conservation Service, later named the Natural Resources Conservation Service, an agency in the USDA to help fund and educate farmers on conservation practices. These practices range from how farmers irrigate their crops and move their herds, to what they do, or don't, put in the earth. The ground is teeming with life and life-giving nutrients. Farmers are learning ways to make it a hospitable place for life and welcoming the tiny organisms that make this ecosystem so vibrant. We talked to 7 of these farmers and farm families around the state of Arkansas.
This is Outlaw. This is Tyler's goat. It's untouchable. Come at midnight.
So it gives you a little sneak peek of where that story's going. So we want to go from creatures of the soil to creatures of the clubhouse.
Mudbound creatures.
The mudbound creatures.
That was, by the way, that was the team went to deep underground to an earthworm farm to get all that. That was a box in Studio C.
Yeah. We'll give our secrets away on our can.
And you didn't get to see some of the more technical graphics, but they were really, really, really fabulous. Before you moved on, Levi, I just want to say that, Blueberry's Clubhouse is nominated for Emmy in informational long-form programming. And as an educational short form, there was a segment on oral histories that was done.
That we did at the Mosaic Templars.
And the episode of Family Day Dilemma is nominated for informational long form.
Yeah, and I think Blueberry's been nominated every season, so we're very excited to show you guys some clips of season 3. So we'll watch it.
Blueberry, look at all this mess.
Oh, Max, I think we're gonna have to clean our room.
Hey, everybody, this is Papa Rap. 1, 2, 3, 4, what's up? What's up? What's up? ¿Qué pasa? What's your name? ¿Cómo te llamas? Where you from? ¿De dónde eres? Let's be friends, seamos amigos. What's up? What's up? ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa?
The costume contest is all about Arkansas monsters, Sophie. We're dressing up like monsters. Monsters are scary.
Who goes there? That wasn't a dog howl. That howl came from the only real monster in Arkansas. The Ozark Howler, howler, howler.
Better beware of the howler. He's gonna make you disappear. Watch out, never shout, never let him hear. You know that he can smell your fear. Better beware of the howler. He goes
Chef Sean will be visited by somebody from his past. Attention, Camp Onomatopoeia! This is Blueberry, and I've got something to say. It's time we get the jams back together.
I've got this friend who's mine all mine, my number one, my partner in crime. Do everything together all the time and helps me to get out of every bind. I don't wanna think about leaving this fall, but when the summer comes again, we'll be having a ball. I've got this friend who could do it on her own. I've got this friend who's playing his own song. I've got this friend that makes me feel better. And you know we do it better when we do it together.
It was as tall as a mountain, yet smaller than a house.
His milkshake ain't bringing nobody to the yard. That's right.
Season 3, Episode 6, Scene 1, Echo Foxtrot. George, take 1.
I can't believe that he's kept these cameras alive so long.
Oh, he should put this in his type 5.
What?
Sorry.
Oh, that's good.
I won't even tell you about the mushroom incident.
You're always so much smarter than me.
Well, it ain't hard.
It's good.
All right, 4 of our 9 Emmy nominations. Let's give it up for Blueberry again. 4 of our 9 Emmy nominations thus far this morning, there's still a couple batches more to come from the production team in education. Take it away, Sajdi.
Okay, so we have a little bit of wrap up on Rise and Shine Season 2, and so it's always fun to come back for a second season. That means they enjoyed it, I hope. And so what we love about this, it was a true labor of love for the whole station. We understood that this mattered for the students and the parents and the families of our state. And we were very careful to think about all the things that they may have to manage in the summer and offer them something educational. We never underestimated kids' desire to learn and their brains to grow. And guess what? Just make it fun. So we covered over 107 learning targets. We wrote original learning materials, I think 84 pages bilingual. We sent over 55,000 goodie bags. We reached all the counties. We missed one last year, so we called them. And so we got into their county as well. And this started in June with pre-production, went on the air a month later with over 430 clips, 9 hosts, lots of programming, and we went on field trips to 35 different locations in the state, and we read over, I believe, 40 books to them, because reading is important. So this is just a little, there's some funny bloopers at the beginning, and just a wrap up of Rise and Shine, season 2.
It's time to rise and shine. It's a great day to learn and build and grow. More ways to show off what we know. Let's show 'em science and reading skills, math and art, color wills. Let's go to class. It's a blast. You're a great student, so we know that you can really shine. Get up on your feet. Oh, it's time to rise and shine.
It's Rise and Shine's second birthday.
What?
Yes.
Happy birthday, Rise and Shine!
Miss Alice! Don't.
She looks crazy. Look a little cross-eyed. Whoa! Look at all these cookies!
Looking pretty good.
Oh, we look great!
We do.
Are you planning a party? My glasses!
Oh, your glasses are fine.
They're taped to my head! Ooh, cookies!
Look at all
Joel,
these
did you make all these?
I don't know. I gotta get this letter in the mail.
Oh, that's right. Here we go. Mail it away.
Oh, Miss Alice, I'm sorry. Miss Alice. Miss Alice.
It is a great day to learn something new, and I am more excited than ever because today I have Magnolia and Tucker with me, and we are going to be learning and working with you. Today we are going to look at letters, and we're going to notice the difference between some uppercase and lowercase letters. Do you guys think you can help me with that?
Sure.
5, 10, 15, 20. So that means that we're on 10, 20. That's right. So I'll tell you what, let's practice some of these.
Okay.
You know what we need? Our handy dandy chalkboard.
What?
Chalkboard.
Whoa!
Pretty amazing stuff. All right, let's practice some of these.
Okay, I'm gonna get a pencil.
Okay, you do that.
One of our favorite things out here is this beautiful flower bed, and we kind of want to have another one built. Now, we noticed it's made out of these picket fence panels, and the entire flower bed is in the shape of a rectangle. Now, to know how many panels of this picket fence to buy, I know that we need to find the perimeter or the distance around this rectangle.
I know you know what a garden is, but have you ever heard of a sculpture garden? Well, in this garden, we don't grow flowers, we grow sculptures. It is a beautiful place, full of wonderful things to see.
What's the matter, Joel?
I want to write a new jingle, but I'm not inspired. Could you help?
Let me see. Everyone has skills and abilities that are important to those around them. Look for and recognize all the ways people can help with a problem. And look for those traits in yourself, too.
Songs away, songs away. Let it out with music. Sing what you would say. Open your mouth and songs away.
Cynthia, that was some of the virtual, right at the end there, some of the virtual environments. All right, next up, we're going to talk about initiative we're doing for the Office of Skills Development. Oh, no, I'm sorry,
No,
this is the Chamber of Commerce, right?
The Arkansas State Chamber.
State Chamber.
We've been kind of developing with them this project for a number of years, kind of with Senator Jane English and this kind of Be Pro, Be Proud. Funny enough, Lindsay and I worked at Stone Ward together many, many years ago, and this was one of our clients back then, so it's kind of come full circle. And you know, again, I think it's a testament to the work that we've created that we get opportunities like this. So we were really lucky that we were able to work with Stripling Equipment in Little Rock, but also Tyson Foods, who doesn't do a lot of video work usually with people, but because of the idea of this video is that it's a real focus on kind of blue-collar jobs and technical jobs, they really want to kind of balance out that equation of people, you know, that are young professionals or thinking about getting into 4-year or 2-year degrees to also consider these technical vocations. And so our goal was to really make this show kind of an attractive, hip version of like Dirty Jobs or something like that, of what you'd see, these very hands-on, these very technical, you know, IT focused and diesel technicians and stuff that you will see on this, but make them look like rock stars basically. So that's what we did, and we'll show you a little teaser for that.
Our workforce is shrinking. The demand for hardworking, skilled technicians is higher than ever. Let's start the journey on Be Pro, Be Proud, Path to Success. The average diesel technician make on average $50 to $75K a year, like those that work here at Stripling Equipment in Little Rock.
Young people that are enrolled in a technical program can begin to get acclimated to the world of work and then be able to take off to a lot of runway, a lot of trajectory once they graduate into the mechanical spaces of industrial maintenance.
Your path to success could lead you to a facility such as this, the Tyson Foods Chicken Hatchery in Springdale, Arkansas.
Through affordable education, any mechanically minded Arkansas graduate can set themselves up for a fun and engaging career of getting their hands dirty and solving important problems. Through this path to success, you can crack the code to a bright and hopeful future.
Fun videos that we did. We've got 2 coming out, like I said, one on Stripling Equipment and then one on Tyson, and we should be doing 2 to 3 more throughout the rest of the year. I think we're going to soft launch those within the next month, and then probably have a bigger launch as the semester ends and kind of school starts, people start looking for what they're going to do after school, probably in January. So we'll be developing that relationship with the state chamber and doing more videos hopefully for them in the future. Any questions? Sorry.
So how will they be disseminated?
We're going to put those on YouTube, so they're going to be digital, starting out with a digital first kind of release schedule, and then the chamber themselves will be embedding them onto their website kind of with our logo. And then the idea is that they would really like to do these at events. They have a big truck, the Be Pro, Be Proud truck that has kind of hands-on and stuff like that. So doing screenings and stuff at high schools and job affairs and events, things like that around the state. I think the chamber is really interested in kind of taking these on the road and playing these for schools.
They're not going to be on PBS, or they will be also?
They'll be on our social platforms and all of our digital platforms. Right now, we don't have any plans to put it on broadcast, but that could change in the future, depending if we have enough of them. It could make a warranted television broadcast show out of them. But with the age groups that we're kind of looking at, we're really trying to target that digital audience for now. But I don't know, Lindsay, if you had anything you want to tack on to that.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Most important thing is just getting that ahead of high school seniors that are making decisions of what they're going to do. Again, like Levi said, this comes full circle because when Be Pro, Be Proud first launched, I was part of the team that launched that with the agency, and so it was always about, you don't have to go to college. Trade skills jobs are just as important, and we need them, and you can make good salaries, and you can make that salary without a lot of times incurring a lot of loan expenses. So it is a very worthy cause, and we want to make sure we get that ahead of high school seniors making their decisions next semester.
Yeah, and becoming partners with the state and other state agencies is a part of our goals. And so I think doing more work like this, and we just finished a shoot for Office of Skills Development on apprenticeships, and so they kind of hand in hand, tying together. We were in Pine Bluff yesterday for a client called People Shores, and they train IT apprentices that go on to work for other people. And so this is a big value in what we do for the state as well. And speaking of value, we want to segue into the debates. So we have a lot of attention on the debates this year, primarily for the gubernatorial debate and the national attention that's on that, but also lots of other, we've got 9 races that we're going to be showcasing. And so we really want to take this as an opportunity, as kind of develop our branding strategy and kind of the look of the debates and make it feel crisper, fresher, try to bring in new audiences to our public affairs programs. We've got a new set and all this stuff that we want to do and make people feel more engaging. And so we made this promo. We'll show you guys a little clip that kind of gets our new graphics package. We've got some drone stuff that we want to do. We've got two extra hosts that we're bringing in with Steve Barnes, with Christina Munoz, and Donna Terrell hopefully will be doing a lot of that. But you'll see in this clip kind of a little bit of that new refreshed design that we want to showcase.
Before casting your ballots this fall, we want to help you get to know the candidates and their stances on important issues. So we're bringing the candidates straight to you, wherever you watch. Join us this October for Election 2022 Arkansas PBS debates. We'll host 9 debates for races, including governor, all 4 congressional districts, 1 Senate seat, attorney general, lieutenant governor, and secretary of state. Hear from the candidates on the issues that matter to you and feel confident in your decisions at the polls.
So a lot of work has gone on behind the scenes from the public affairs team, managing these campaigns and communicating with them is like herding cats. And Marty's been integral in this the preparation for the debates. So they're all set up. We're going to be at the Reynolds Theater here on the campus of UCA. So if any of you can attend that week, we'd be happy to have you here. All right, as we do in all these meetings, we'd like to give you a little taste of what's going on the national programming scene in the next quarter coming up. Since some of our other team members are here, we haven't been doing this since COVID, but now they're loosened up a little bit, so they're back. And since Julie is here, I'm going to give up my chair to her so that she can preview the clip for the national programming.
Hi, everyone.
The mic's right there, Julie.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to see a couple of things today. The first is the U.S. and the Holocaust, which is Ken Burns and Lynn Novak's next big show. It premieres on September 18th, so just about 10 days from now. It's over 3 nights, 6 hours total. So it's quite the deal, and it's a little hard to see and hard to watch. So we've been kind of looking at little bits and pieces upstairs in marketing as we go along. But we have lots of events planned in Northwest Arkansas and in Little Rock through February. Because January is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. So be on the lookout for those if you'd like to attend those. They'll be fantastic. Also, there are some virtual conversations with the producers and directors and experts around the Holocaust. The first one is tonight, and there's one also on the 15th, and then on the 13th for teachers. So lots of engagement opportunities there for Arkansans to connect to the national program. So we'll see.
So also Black America, Making Black America.
Yes, and that's the next one. Making Black.
They put this together.
Gotcha. So Making Black America is the newest from Dr. Henry Louis Gates. It's fantastic. It's getting a lot of buzz and a lot of attention at the moment, and that premieres on October the 4th. And part of what we'd like to do with this and some other pieces that are coming up, Frederick Douglass and some other pieces, we're partnering some HBCUs to do some series where we're showing all of these films because there's about 6 of them out there right now or coming, and we're getting some feelers out about that. So I know Philander Smith is already talking to us about having a series with them and their students, so we're super excited about that. But that's what you're going to see here.
Black Americans created a world on the other side of the color line, a world behind the veil.
Black people create spaces where we can be seen by each other. Sometimes you just want to celebrate how dope it is to be black.
Making Black America, only on PBS.
Even though the Holocaust took place in Europe, it is a story that Americans have to reckon with too.
The primary goal is to get to the United States.
The door was not wide open.
Rule changes make it even harder for refugees to get in.
We are a good people, but that's not all there is to this story.
All right. And so the last thing we're going to show you is a 2-minute video about Arkansas PBS. As many of you know, there was what was the ISP actually called? It was the interim study presentation that we did this earlier this summer here at the station. We had many legislators who were maybe not that familiar with us, so we put together this introductory video to kind of give them a peek at us at Arkansas PBS, and it's just a nice video to enjoy. So this will be the conclusion of our showcase, and let's run that.
Now this is where the magic happens.
I'm inspired. Back to you, John.
Pretty overwhelming. I think the entertainment value is just spectacular, but I like the idea that we have specific educational goals, and we're building, little segments to those goals. And but it occurred to me one question: if you're a teacher, that kind of excitement and color and things moving and so forth, it's a little bit challenging to the teachers to keep up with the material that's being presented, isn't it? And you already have a thought about that. But I was just thinking, boy, if I was a teacher, I've got to get on my toes and be ready to present this material.
Yeah. Good partnership there too.
Yeah, they're great support to us because nothing can replace the teacher.
This is such rich content and support. We're so lucky to have it, and I'm so impressed with it's depth. It's such depth. There's nothing superficial anywhere, and I love that. And so as an educator, that's just great to work with and bring to my students.
And one of the things, Anne, I know you are a fan of PBS Learning Media. All of these segments so we actually just got finished with season 1, making them all PBS Learning Media, extra activities, so that teachers can now use it in the classroom with their lesson plans, add supplemental things. So it's going to be a resource there, kind of this repository. And then we're on to doing the same for season 2 now, and that'll come out next year.
And that's the part that it's the invisible work, which is often, this is glitzy and this works this looks wonderful, but the invisible work that supports that gets it to teachers, gets it to students, gets it in the hands of the people of Arkansas and beyond. I mean, that's just rich. That's just rich.
Yeah.
Invaluable.
Well, I hope that is, majority of teachers who see it that way. That I was involved with some programs that involve the A+ Schools program that has kind of an arts-based learning and outcome and so forth, but we were competing often with required summer professional development, from the Arkansas Department of Education. And if the state's requiring it, then everybody goes to that station and, checks it off rather than going to some other options. Do we have any kind of professional development? Is it all online? Do teachers get together and study together? Do we facilitate that?
Well, I'll tell you that. I see Sajni's staff at different conferences that I go to, and not only are they there just speaking in the hallways and as vendors, but they are putting on PD sessions explaining how you can use the content that's built there. And it's well received every time because it's quality. So definitely they're doing that outreach.
And a lot of the work, it's because we have educators in-house, we are able to do all the standards to the Arkansas standards, and we can do that and make it right. So
that's a key to say, you can come to this and this kind of learning that PBS has, but it's going to meet a state requirement. It's going to meet those standards that the state is looking for.
They have so much going on. We hope that this offers them some time to do all the other things that they have to do, because they have this rich content that's thought through with standards.
And resources that connect to the content, like the package that you send out.
Like the package.
So it's not just the splashy visual, all right, students, you can look at this. It's support and lessons that go with that.
Right. Yes. And in Arkansas, all students, I think I'm right with this, but they all get a Google Chromebook. And so all of these materials can be shared on Google Classroom. So what that means is a kid who may not have internet at home, the teacher can load it onto their Chromebook before they go home, and they can still do those things. They don't have to have internet to watch the videos and things like that. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That's why I retired from teaching. I started out years ago with business law. And, we had textbooks, real books, and tear out homework assignments, and all that. And the erasable, whiteboards and all that. But I noticed that the students kept upgrading, the PowerPoints. Well, they don't move, they don't talk, they don't do anything. And so when I was teaching political science, they had a end of semester report they were supposed to give, which was, like 5 or 6 pages, do research, whatnot. Well, they started bringing in their video presentation. It wasn't a paper assignment to them. It was, well, why don't you go find what's interesting and, history, characters, whatever, do a Ken Burns. And that was their idea of reporting back. And very visual, very current and interactive in many ways. So, yeah, good.
Stage in my library, and that stage is there because students present there. Students make podcasts. I've been interviewed at podcasts that students produced in other parts of the state, and my students have made podcasts. Like, they're generating, so they're definitely consuming, but they're also generating this kind of media. So I think you're right in the sweet spot.
Yeah. Well, that's the exciting part, though, to see the teachers engaging in that way with the students, and that's spectacular, great. Well, that's answers my question, whatever. But anybody else want to add or ask any questions? Good. You may need to contact Ken Burns about railroads for Jewish immigrants into this. Yeah, that's another side conversation, but yeah. Do you have a question, comment?
This goes back to what we were talking about earlier, some new hires and stuff, and I'm curious about this. We're hiring looking to fill a public affairs director for the production department. And I'm curious, what does that person do, and do they collaborate with Marty? I mean, how does that work?
So, Marty is sort of our liaison to the outside world, right? So our public affairs, we have a team already doing production of public affairs, mostly related to keeping Arkansas Week, on the air timely and booked. We have aspirations to do more. So that's what this position is for. We're trying to do new forms of public affairs content that maybe on a much more regular basis, digital implementations of public affairs. Right now, Arkansas Week is once a week, Friday night, and then we run it on Sunday mornings. But there's a lot happening in the state that we feel like we want to inform on, and so that's what that job is for, and to kind of reinvigorate that area.
There's a place in public affairs that public media can occupy that really is not occupied by any other media entity. So we're looking to really move into that lane and innovate in the digital space as well as on the
So we're getting our content out? Is that what that person does, or?
Well, they'll spearhead the creation of new content.
Okay.
So I'm
help
making
us envision what that looks like. What does it look like?
I'm making this up, but what if we had a daily noon report? We don't have that now, so we would want this person to kind of spearhead those kinds of initiatives.
Gotcha.
Or it could be news podcast. I mean, we're really trying to innovate and, like Corby said, get into places that other people are not.
Gotcha. And what does a public information specialist do? Is that?
That's a marketing position. That's a title in marketing.
Sometimes the state titles are hard to directly tied to what the position is, because there are certain state titles.
We have multiple job category or jobs that have that title, public information specialist. It's a state title.
Okay.
Just a vacancy that we have.
Within our walls, it sometimes takes on other specificity that, is, but it's a general state title. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I'm good.
Yes. Okay.
We can hear that on the feed here. Here, West is nodding yes. Anything else? Where do we need to go from here? On to government. Are we ready for government affairs? Marty.
Yeah, just to touch briefly on what I know Courtney and John have already said about our interim study this summer, and I know all of you were there, and Ann and John, of course, participated and presented, and a lot of work that everybody here in this room put into it. But I'm at the Capitol quite a bit and run into a lot of the legislators that were there and have heard about it. And the impact from that has been really, really fantastic, that so many didn't realize of all the work that we do and all the things that we do beyond what the broadcast and what is seen on TV. And so, the purpose of that was so many had questions during the last fiscal session. That's why they were looking at our budget. Is the money they're giving us really worth what the state is getting back? And I think anybody who watched that is emphatically yes. And so I think that's going to help us as we go into the next budgeting cycle, which brings me to where we are in the next budgeting cycle. So on the state level, the budget hearings, joint budget hearings will be starting up in October, and our hearing is set for November 9th. So our budget will be heard. We'll be there in joint budget to present our budget on November 9th. And so that kind of kicks off all the behind the scenes work with the governor's office and all that stuff is ongoing, but then that'll be the first hearing on our budget on the 9th. And so we'll be preparing for that between now and then. On the federal level, the budget has passed out of the House Appropriations Committee. If you follow APPS, they're the organization that I guess a lobbying organization that represents public television in Congress, and of course they call on us quite a bit. We have representatives on the Appropriations Committee, and so they call us quite a bit to speak to our members about requesting funding and those kind of things. So right now, as passed out of the House Appropriations Committee, there's a $40 million increase for CPB at $565 million, which is what they had requested. $60 million for the interconnection, which is a $40 million increase. $30 million or $30.5 million for Ready to Learn, and $40 million for the Next Generation Warning System. And so that is passed out of the Senate. Our House Appropriation has passed it. On the Senate side, they have released their draft budget, and those same numbers are in that draft budget, so they feel good about where it is in the process. Of course, the federal fiscal year ends September 30th. So October 1, they got to have a budget passed, which is not going to happen, but or a continuing resolution, which they're working on now. There's a story in the paper about it today. You've probably read. But anyway, where they are in the negotiations as far as public television looks good. We're on a 2-year advance, and so we're in good shape, even if they don't come up with the budget bill by September 30th. So, but we hope they do anyway for the sake of everybody else. But the Senate returned this week to work, and the House returns next week. So hopefully we'll get something done. But anyway, that's where the budget stands. That's kind of what's going on in government relations. Any questions? Comments?
Marge, give us the update on the foundation.
All right, thank you, John. Good to see you all. Want to touch briefly on FY22. Since the last time we met, we were not quite at the end of our fiscal year, and as I always say in fundraising, it's not over until the fiscal year is over. So unaudited, but accurate, we saw in contributed revenue in total 12.8% growth in FY22 over FY21. So second year in a row of double-digit growth. Very, very happy about that. But of course, what is most important to us is how we actually support the network. And in our support of the network, either through the programming allocation that we make, through the grants that we help to raise, through other kinds of project-specific money, we saw 26.6% growth in FY22 over FY21. And that is especially important to us because one of the 4 focus points of the Foundation's strategic plan is to significantly increase, essentially double the support that the Foundation provides for the network over a 5-year period. So we have set an audacious goal there, but we are well on our way to doing that. So I will say, I'm not going to go through all of the goals for FY23, you've got them in your packet. If I could summarize it in one piece, it would be that at this point, the Foundation is really trying to turn its gaze outward. We've spent a good deal of the last year and a half, 2 years since my arrival, really building that infrastructure, taking care of some, internal housekeeping, setting up our staffing, and now we want to very strategically and intentionally turn our gaze outward towards our community, with the belief that the more that we can help to make Arkansas PBS essential and relevant to our community, to our viewers, to our families, to our youngest learners across the state, the more effectively we will be able to fundraise. So you're going to see that this year in things like the resurgence of Family Day coming up in November, with donor appreciation events. We're doing one in Northwest later in September because we discovered that at one retirement home, we had over 6 donors who were in residence in one place, and we thought, well, here's a fantastic opportunity. So we're going to go up there, do some sneak previews of things that are coming up, spend a little time with them, and giving them an opportunity to ask us questions. We are doing that in terms of really trying to rebuild volunteerism, which obviously over the last few years with the pandemic has just, for so many nonprofits, has gone away. So we are now inviting organizations and volunteers back in for the phone banks during our on-air fundraising campaigns. We will need an army of volunteers for Family Day and things like that. But again, that's a way of getting out there and connecting in a really direct manner with the folks that we are serving. So I think that is a step that's going to have some great long-term benefits for the foundation and for the network. And I'll leave it at that unless there are any questions.
Mark, you said you've had double-digit increases for the last 3 years?
2 years. So
2 years, okay. So that's at least 20%. Is it more than 20% growth?
I believe that in FY21 over FY20, I think we were at about 14%, and this past year, just under 13%. So, yes.
Well, very good. That's a third of the value in 2 years.
Absolutely.
Since you've been here. Congratulations.
And not all of that gets dispersed at once, because a good deal of that is in the form of restricted grants that are to support specific productions. So sometimes the foundation will hold those in reserve until that work gets done, if it's for something like Good Roots or the Farm Ranch Stress Assistance Network program. But looking at it in the years in which we bring those funds in, yes, we have been very, very happy with the growth.
Marty, has the foundation thought about a signature event that's not in a space occupied by other groups? I mean, some groups have been so creative with what they come up with. Just some that I can think of, when they were putting the museum together in Fort Smith, they had a Dancing with the Stars, which was just local people, and people came, well, I won't say why they came, but they came to watch that. And then, but I know it would have to be, because there's so many galas and all that, but something super creative that people would come because it's such a fun niche event. And then because even people then who aren't supporting might get hooked, is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely, and I think that's a great point. And we've talked about some of those things. We haven't necessarily settled on one, so I'm entertaining ideas, absolutely. But one of the things that we're really happy about with Family Day is we feel like that's also a space that we can fill in that way, even though that's not a fundraiser, it's a free event for families. We are asking for corporate sponsorships for that. So there is a fundraising opportunity there to help support the children's programming. But that one of the reasons I love that is because it really aligns so beautifully with what Arkansas PBS is all about. So I think whatever we do, we'd want to find a way to make sure that it really does align with what the mission of the network is. But yeah, I would love to find something like that.
Are you going to come dance?
No, I was thinking if you will dance, we will do that.
We'll make an event around you.
We will make an event around you.
Yeah, something like that. Well, I was just saying people could come with something dressed up like their favorite PBS character or something like that.
I would love that.
Like a Renaissance fair.
Yeah, almost. Yeah,
It'd be like the next Comic-Con.
Excellent.
Now we are doing a pledge show around kind of an antiques roadshow idea. I don't know if we want to preview that too much, but that is something very specific to kind of PBS heritage that will get the whole community involved and might be another way to reach out to the community.
As well as one around celebrating Arkansas holiday traditions. So we're actually right now asking our audience to submit their favorite holiday recipes, family traditions, rituals, and it could be around, we've said any holiday. It can be Christmas, it can be Hanukkah, it can be the start of Razorbacks football season. Whatever is a holiday to you, we will accept that.
That explains the gingerbread.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yes, that explains the gingerbread houses in the corner. We were doing some
yeah,
advanced
we did an activity
photos.
to feed some of that content. Yeah, or your family's holiday traditions.
Good ideas. We're getting creative. Anything else?
That's it.
The stipend and expense reimbursements, is
that's something
that a
that's-
motion that we need to make?
I'm not sure about that, but if you look on page 24 in your books, there's the kind of the rules are about the stipends. And if you haven't already met her, we should introduce you to Krista Salinas, our new executive assistant. Krista, she's in the corner there. Stand up, say wave to the commissioners.
Hi guys, it's nice to meet you. I met some of you, but not all of you, so I look forward to meeting you all.
Okay, and she'll handle all your stipends.
Yes.
Is that enough, Dwayne? That's all we needed to?
The documentation and the photo, she probably speaks with more.
Okay.
Yeah, and also I put your expense reimbursements in the front of your binders. If you guys can just sign those, I'll get those sent out for you guys.
Oh, the travel reimbursement is currently 52 cents. That's
yes,
change perhaps in January. Or, so we don't need to vote now. We'll vote then, or do we vote now?
Now?
It says it requires us every year to pass this by a majority. Authorization for commission member expense reimbursement.
Yeah.
So if you guys can vote on it.
Yeah, the fiscal year started July 1, so I believe the fiscal year started July 1, so we're in a new fiscal year, so I believe that's why you can do it now.
Okay.
Of course, we have our legal counsel on the phone if we need him.
Well, we have the mileage reimbursement and then a $60 per day per diem. And that has been in place, so we're just passing a motion that it would be continued.
So
Motion second. Any discussion? If not, all favoring say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right. Thanks for that, John. Before Courtney's going to give us our new community events calendar, but this just in, our 10th Emmy nomination is appropriately enough for community service impact for the station. So
There's still a few nominations that they're going to announce this afternoon. So we are at 10. Last year we had 8.
It's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Wonderful to be nominated.
I think some of us are actually going to go to St. Louis for the ceremony.
When is it?
Because it'll be in person. this year.
October 29th.
October 29th. Road trip.
City's game.
Okay, bring back the hardware. Courtney, you want to wrap?
Yeah.
Wrap
So
it up for us?
I'm not going to go through. We have so much on here. I am not going to read it all. But you all have in your packets the dates in more detail. And for whoever may be watching on Arcan, all of these dates will be found on our website. And if you follow us on social media, you will get consistent reminders about all of these things. As Julie mentioned earlier, on the Ken Burns, the U.S. and the Holocaust, there are multiple or a couple of virtual of national events that Ken Burns, I believe, is participating in. And we will also be having some in-person local screenings across Arkansas in the month of October. On the 10th of September, which is this Saturday, 7 days, the opioid crisis in Arkansas what is the actual title now?
It's 7 days, the opioid crisis.
The opioid crisis will be debuting nationally, which is very exciting. We are also in line with our live streaming, more live streaming events through education and Arkansas Ideas. We will be live streaming a speaker series from Crystal Bridges that is terrific. Sounds terrific. I mean, it's got people ranging from Condoleezza Rice to Hillary Clinton to Yo-Yo Ma. So that should be some wonderful streaming events. We are again not all together. No, it's they're on individual nights, so they each get to talk individually. We are partnered with Hot Springs Documentary Film Festival again in our initiative for young filmmakers. Those dates of the festival are this October 7th through the 15th. The debates were mentioned. It's the week of 17th through the 21st, with building up to the gubernatorial debate on the 21st. Family Day, as Marge mentioned, it's going to be bigger and better than ever this year, November 5th, here at Arkansas PBS. Football, just a heads up, because we will meet again on December 1st, but football will be, the championships will be broadcast the first 2 weekends in December. On the October 29th is the Mid-America Regional Emmy ceremony, so hopefully we will be attending in some way, shape, or form. And then another big thing for us is additional tower launches of our new transmitters. So those dates are TBD, but sometime during October and November, we will have launch events for the transmitter near Harrison and also Texarkana. So all good. But be sure to look at the detailed list. There's a lot more on there, and we're going to have a busy fall and early winter.
We don't have it in our packets.
You don't have it in your packets.
Maybe we could.
So
we'll get that for you.
Okay. Maybe.
Yeah, I'll get it.
All right.
And Courtney mentioned the football. For the first time this year, we'll be broadcasting 8-man football for the small schools, small communities. So their championship.
Another first.
Another first.
If there's no further business, we'll go around. Commissioners have anything you'd like to add? Woody, start with you.
I get so impressed. I just really appreciate the insights that Lindsay's bringing. I just think that's important to put numbers to the work. So I think that's very helpful, and I look forward to the information that you'll be providing. It's insightful. Excited to hear we might be adding volleyball, or we are adding volleyball, because my hometown, Paris, we have a repeat state championship team. So I know people back home will be excited to tune in. So good job on that. I'd love to claim that I made that happen. I was going to say, Eagles, go Eagles. I mean, Lady Eagles, let's do it. So that's exciting. I've also, we talked about this during some of the education part, but the fact that I see what Arkansas PBS does, that it enriches our students from preschool all the way through like the technical work and the students that are headed to college, and even up through the debates and our citizens, you just do the work for the people of Arkansas so thoroughly and so well. It's just an honor to just be witness and to consume it. So just thank you, always just thank you.
Don't forget teacher ed.
Oh my gosh, yes, for sure, teacher ed. So thank you for the support you give us for that.
Well, it's hard to beat that, but I do have a question about, as we get more sophisticated with the data, the analytics, and this actually goes to Wes's point, if we'll be able to parse those demographic data a little bit more thoroughly to figure out how to build audience in certain pockets. So I know this is just the beginning, but I'll look forward to seeing that.
That's definitely the goal.
Yeah.
We're just scratching the surface. So.
Yeah.
And Lindsay has more. We just didn't want to overwhelm
Yeah.
you in this meeting with too much deluge, but
Yeah, so the appendix to that 4 slides that you saw is about 40 more slides.
Exactly.
So we're getting down into the nuts and bolts of it, but we'll, wanted to give you a taste today in future commission meetings. Now that you're seeing it more often, we won't have to go back through the basis every time. We can get more into the detail.
Maybe we could do like a cake and data.
I just wanted to commend the group on the presentation to the legislature back in July. Was July, wasn't it?
Was July.
I thought it was very well attended by legislators, and I think it was much needed. And I would actually encourage the government affairs, everyone, to host a meeting on a pretty regular basis here. I mean, like once a year, maybe once every 2 years, because everyone wasn't here. Of course, they couldn't be, but really, that would have been too many. But I think it's on them if they don't come and see what all you're doing. But it was a great presentation, and I think very well received from all that I heard.
Yeah, it was an opportunity we were really grateful for. It was wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I already mentioned this a minute ago, but I'm so glad to see the growth in the foundation. Over 2 years, we're at 30%. I mean, there's a lot of people would love to have them manage their portfolios. If that growth continued, that margin's already gone, but that's pretty impressive.
And during a pandemic, so.
Yeah, during the pandemic. And it sounds like they're just getting started. I mean, well, now we're ready to go. Well, you've done pretty good for the past 2 years, so we've got high expectations.
It's a great partnership with the foundation.
And membership set an all-time high as well. Pat's worked really hard during hard times.
Yay.
All good, folks. Anything else that needs to come before us?
Speak now.
We need to turn in our travel sheets here.
Yeah, mark your pen.
Of course.
And with that, is there a motion to adjourn? So moved, done. There you go. Thank you.
All right. Thank
And
you,
lunch
everybody.
is ready to be served out in the hallway, so help yourself.
It's a wrap on our camp.
Yeah.
That's it for our camp. Thank you.